The way it is, we need the law to be able to go beyond the rhetorics.
So the first thing is to sort the law out.
We sort the law out, but I am establishing that the law is important.
Okay, my question. Actually, if they're sorting the law out, UNESCO is claiming they have a particular budget for education in Nigeria, which Nigeria is so way below that. Are you trying to say that also should be implemented in the law if they're going to be looking at the rhetorics? Also, we have the national policy of education in Nigeria, because we are still using the one based on 1997, and this is 2015. Less amendment has been done to that.
Now, the UNESCO provisions are there. In the case analysis I have done, I have come to find that, for example, in the ECOWAS Court of Human Rights, there's been a case of Serap versus Nigeria, where it was established that yes, there are funds provided, but corruption is endemic, and that is part of the challenges. Now, how can we begin to use the law to curb the corruption that affects the availability of education? And also looking at the policies of education that we talk about, I have also pointed that one of the challenges is the question of acceptability. One of the theories I have relied on is the theory of struggle approach, according to Christoph Hens. Because you don't educate me when you derode my dignity. You don't educate me when you want to change my mentality. So we are bound to have a struggle. We are bound to have a reaction. Some of us have heard of Boko Haram, which says Western education is literally an abomination. Why? Because it has sought to derode people's identity. So we are saying that education must be an education that is acceptable. And the law has to be in place to ensure that the curriculum is in such a way that it's acceptable and adaptable to the people.
If I can just point something out, we note that most of the lawmakers are not very much educated. So how are we going to conceptualize education to make it acceptable if the lawmakers themselves, they are not very much educated?
And that is why you have seen that I have done focus group discussion. There is a need in curriculum development to interact with the people, interact with religious leaders, interact with traditional leaders. We must be able to find a means of trying to draft what is acceptable to the people. And when we say acceptability here, I am sure, and I also recognize the fact that it is a challenge to be very specific, but to a great extent, we should be able to find a space in which we can accommodate ourselves. And in summary, the position I bring is that the law itself, you talked about legislators, and that is why we say the courts. The courts can play a role. Why the legislators are politicians, the courts are not. We have the textbook case in South Africa, we have the mod school case, we have the Juma Moshid case. So these are cases in both South Africa and even in India, where the courts have actually played the role of the arbiter for the common man. The law does not promise us heaven in realizing education, but definitely is going to take us away from hell.